These aliens just made the biggest mistake in history. An alien empire called the Galactic Hegemony recorded this log during their invasion of Earth, and you will not believe what happened. The alien in charge, High Executor Kalen, thought this would be the easiest planetary takeover ever. Their plan was called Operation Shattered Glass, and they were 100% sure it would work. They had studied our entire history of disasters and wars and thought we were pathetically fragile. Kalen literally said we're always on the verge of collapse and that the aliens weren't even conquering us, they were just giving us a gentle push. He was so confident. He said, "They will break. Logic demands it." And then everything went horribly, horribly wrong for them. A frantic voice suddenly screamed over their comms, "High Executor! The atmospheric incinerators! They're offline!" Kalen shot back, "What do you mean, offline?" And the technician said, "The humans, sir, they've rerouted the plasma conduits. They've turned our atmospheric purifiers into forges. And there's some kind of celebration. Sir, they're roasting food over the plasma exhaust." Kalen just stood there in silence and said, "What?" So here was the aliens' master plan, and you have to admit it was kind of smart. They called it the doctrine of despair, and it had never failed before. It's based on one simple idea. Civilization is super fragile. You crack it just a little, and the whole thing falls apart. Their plan for Earth had 3 insane steps. Phase 1 was wild. They didn't blow up cities or people, they just turned off the entire planet. They hit our power grids, our internet, our dams, all at once. For any normal species, losing power and water is game over. They were expecting riots and total chaos. Phase 2 was even crazier. They released custom-made blights to destroy all, our food, and then used their ships to make acid rain fall from the sky. They weren't trying to kill us directly, but they were trying to starve us into giving up. They had data from hundreds of other planets that proved a hungry population will always surrender, and for the final move, Phase 3, they planned to hijack all our TVs and phones. They'd show us our cities in the dark and our crops dying, proving that we were totally helpless. Then, they'd give us a choice: surrender, or they'd leave us to rot in the dark. It was a crazy plan, but it was based on the single biggest miscalculation in their 10,000-year history. They read our history books and saw a list of weaknesses. They didn't realize they were reading a training manual, so the aliens hit the switch, the world went dark, and they waited for society to collapse. But it didn't happen. The first reports they got back were completely confusing. The planet-wide blackout we were supposed to be terrified of? It didn't work. Where they expected riots, they saw people organizing like it was nothing. It turns out we've done this before. Every time there's a hurricane or an earthquake, we just adapt. Instead of mass panic, we had soup kitchens and neighborhood patrols popping up everywhere. And get this, they thought they destroyed our communications by taking out the satellites. But they completely forgot about old-school tech. Ham radio operators, who the aliens had written off as just a weird hobby, created a brand new internet out of nowhere. People were literally using runners to carry messages between towns. We weren't acting like a civilization that just got its brain shut down. We acted like something that had been attacked before and already had backups for its backups. It made no sense to them. Our history of constant disasters didn't make us fragile. It made our ability to recover unbelievably fast. We had a cultural muscle for rebuilding that the aliens never even knew was possible. Okay, so turning off the power didn't work. Phase 2 is when the aliens' confusion turned into actual panic. Their ultimate plan to starve us went perfectly. The blights destroyed our farms. The acid rain fell. They waited for the global famine and food riots. The reports they got back were insane. Humans weren't fighting over food. They were gardening. On rooftops, in shattered parks, inside abandoned buildings with whatever lights they could find. They even brought back a name for them from one of our own world wars: Victory Gardens. It was like we have a collective memory of how to deal with starvation and already had a plan. This wasn't just recovery. This was us innovating in the middle of a crisis, and this is where it gets absolutely crazy. We started repurposing the aliens' own weapons. They're atmospheric. Machines designed to burn up our oxygen were turned into community forges for making tools. The superheated craters left by their orbital bombs, we started using them for geothermal power. We were taking the exact tools they were using to destroy us and turning them into free resources. They were trying to make us dependent, but their attacks were actually making us more independent with our insane junkyard engineering. The aliens were so confused. We weren't starving. We were adapting, and we were weirdly cheerful about it. This is where the aliens' entire invasion completely fell apart. They were in full-blown panic mode, so they launched Phase 3. They broadcast terrifying images everywhere, burning fields, our continents completely dark, their giant ships blocking the sky. They showed us our own apocalypse, and we just got angry. Their biggest mistake was thinking that fear is how everyone reacts to a big threat. It's not. For humans, the universal response is defiance. They wanted to break our spirit by showing us our leaders were helpless. But for a species that loves underdogs and martyrs, taking out our leaders didn't create a power vacuum. It created legends. New, even more stubborn leaders popped up, and they were energized by the challenge. The real turning point was a message we broadcast from inside a besieged city. It wasn't a surrender, it was a grainy video of a human standing in front of a cheering crowd holding a piece of wrecked alien tech. We had reverse-engineered their plasma weapons. The person on screen wasn't scared or starving. They were smiling, their face covered in grease. They made a crude joke about the aliens' terrible manufacturing quality, and the entire crowd roared with laughter. Laughter! We were laughing in the face of our own extinction. We weren't just surviving their apocalypse. We were literally enjoying the challenge. It was in that moment the alien commander knew. They hadn't come to conquer a fragile planet. They had kicked a hornet's nest the size of a world. So, yeah, the aliens retreated. What was left of them anyway? Operation Shattered Glass was the biggest failure in the history of the galaxy. Their tactical failure wasn't their weapons or their strategy. It was that they just didn't get us. They looked at 10,000 years of human history filled with plagues and wars and only saw weakness. They saw plagues that killed millions and called us fragile. They never stopped to notice that after every single one, we survived. They saw world wars that flattened our continents and called us self-destructive. They failed to understand that we rebuilt every single time, and we always came back stronger. Resilience isn't just something we have, it's literally who we are. It's been programmed into us by generations of facing down disasters. We faced so much garbage that we've learned to eat it for breakfast and turn it into fuel for innovation. Our greatest weakness, a history full of non-stop crisis, is actually the source of our craziest strength. We don't break. We bounce back, and we bounce back harder. Let the alien records show this. Attacking humanity is giving us a free training, exercise. Burning our world is just fertilizer for our creativity. And giving us a common enemy is the one thing that can truly unite us. The aliens thought they were a catastrophe. They were wrong. For humanity, they were just another disaster. And disasters are what we do best. If you think human resilience is insane, smash that subscribe button for more stories just like this. And hit that notification bell so you never miss another tactical breakdown. What part of human nature do you think would completely blow an alien's mind? Let us know in the comments below.